Keeping venomous reptiles is an unforgiving hobby, requiring proper training and lots of experience. One simple mistake can be the difference between life and death. Remember, the most venomous snake in the world is the one that just bit you. There are no venomous snakes with training wheels. Just because you see Viperkeeper handle snakes a certain way does not mean you should try it too.
As you can see, Mr. Brown is quite frantic to get fed. I was away last week and nobody got fed last weekend. Someone commented that, you know, why are the water bowls always dirty? And I really sort of take offense to that because the water bowls are only dirty if we replace it. And they immediately defecate in it. One thing we make sure of is they have water to drink at all times, and sometimes we'll put a bowl in the cage and we can come back the next morning and it's dirty. And if I'm away and it's somebody like Mr. Brown or one of the Fastalapids or a difficult customer, Lori's under instructions just to put a second water dish in there and not bother to try to get the other one out. Just a quick throw a dish in, put some water in it, close the door, because I'm not comfortable with Lori being here by herself and working with some of the snakes. You know, if it's, you know, one of the blue insularis or something like that, one of the death adders, yeah, she can easily, you know, change out water dishes. We've got, you know, various gripper devices to do so, but sometimes you can change the water dish and the next morning it's filthy. So yes, everybody gets a fresh water dish at least once a week, like I just did with Mr. Brown. I changed out Thud's water dish while his mouth was occupied. He's very happily in the corner eating away as Mr. Brown is stuffing his face. But yeah, no one goes without clean water here. They may go without clean water for a day or two. If I'm going to be away for an extended amount of time, my assistant Dan will come over and Lori and Dan will change water dishes because Dan is a much more, I've trained him up to the point where I am reasonably comfortable with him working with these snakes, both in my presence and when I'm not here. He's working that sucker down. He's hungry because he hasn't eaten in 2 weeks. Maybe we'll give him a special treat because he went a couple weeks without food. So if you'll back away, Lori, I'll allow him to stuff his face once again. He thinks he's just going away. He doesn't realize that there's a second treat out here for him. I'll just tickle his back, and there we go!
It's just so nuts.
Hi, Mr. Brown. How are you, bud? Go ahead, you do Mr. Brown cam. Give me my mouse and leave me alone, Mr. Viperkeeper. Okay, there you go, bud. Enjoy. You get a special treat because I was away.
Well, also, he's much more active than most of the snakes, so he doesn't really gain that much weight ever.
Right, whereas the Thud, the slug here, he's well nourished, but he was the biggest beggar of all. Pink, who you can see her nose peering out from her log, she was out in front of the cage here this morning, huffing and puffing at Lori all week, expecting food. Now, she had not been fed for a full month. That's all I feed her at this point, is once every month. She may get a small tidbit in between, but
she's a massive snake and she doesn't move around much, so she doesn't need much.
Yes, and they've looked in the wild. They've telemetried snakes, gaboon vipers and rhino vipers. They may only eat like 3 or 4 times a year in the wild. So we overfeed our snakes here in captivity, so I'm cutting back so she doesn't get obese.
Mr. Brown!
Mr. Brown is so excitable. Oh. I know, am I teasing you? I know it's not nice to tease my snakes. I really try not to, but Mr. Brown has such good personality, and he's always interested in a feed, but you know, we try not to overfeed them because then they get obese and get the same sort of diseases that human people do when they overeat. Diabetes, liver disease, kidney disease. So we try not to do that. But these guys are very excitable. These are quite the handful to work with, and that's why I have a trap box in there, but he doesn't seem to use it because he wants to give me a hard time when I have to clean his cage.
He's just so nuts.
He is a nutty snake. He sheds more times on a regular basis than any other snake that I've ever had. He almost sheds monthly, and you know, he was born in 2007, so he's not an old snake. He's not growing, but he does go through his skins quite frequently. Here's our smooth death adder. Oh, can I have my forceps back there, girlie? We're gonna do happy death adder, huh? Oh, we are. I don't know what the hell that means, but it definitely seems to be excited. Again, I came back from a trip, so they haven't eaten in 2 weeks, but she's got definitely good weight. She's actually a granddaughter of a pair that I had previously. Unfortunately, I can't find any males to breed her, otherwise I'd be breeding some death adders. These are smooth death adders from Papua New Guinea. I've bred a lot of these. They're a lot of fun. The babies are quite adorable and quite toxic too. They will kill you, unlike the pygmy rattlesnake that we saw in the previous video. We have her sister down below, and she's a little bit more stealthy than her sibling, but I bet, oh, how nice. We have a spider.
Oh.
We like spiders here because they eat the carrion flies, so we'll try not to disturb her. Okay, she's excited. We can see her inching forward. Oh, and there we go. Are we going to do happy death adder? You can see that even for being her sister, her coloration is different. Has that beautiful facial markings that most of the death adders have. So let's close this up and hopefully not disturb the spider who's actually doing a thing. We're very friendly to most visitors that we have, especially spiders. We try not to use any insecticides or anything like that, although some snakes require it. Closer to the rough death adder than I really wanted to be. This is a rough death adder, also from Papua New Guinea, but these come from the drier side of the island. Also, whoa! See, that's why I was really sort of thinking that maybe I want to get a hook to open this rather than a stick. Come on, can I pry you off my pair of tongs? Thank you. There you go. You gonna do Happy Death Adder now? We certainly are. She's a bloodline from my friend Dr. Bob Henderson, who passed away several years back. He's the only person I know here in the U.S. that successfully bred rough death adders. I had a pair that were breeding, but nothing ever became of it. I'd really like to find a male for Herb so I could continue his bloodline. But you know, every time I see this snake, I think of my friend Dr. Bob, and it's sort of as a nice remembrance. So we'll let her enjoy her meal and get out of her vase.